The night air was cool, and the soft murmur of the wind carried through the windows of the palace. The fire's glow cast long shadows on the walls, but King Shahryar was as still as the night itself, his attention fully captured by Scheherazade. She smiled gently before beginning the next tale.
O King, you have heard of the lessons the heart must learn, and the journeys that shape one's soul. Now, let me tell you the tale of the merchant and the Djinn, a story of fate, vengeance, and the power of redemption. In a land of vast deserts and sprawling cities, there lived a merchant named Idris. He was a man of great wealth, his caravans bringing goods from the farthest corners of the world. His wealth was only surpassed by his ambition. Idris was known to be shrewd and cunning in business, often making deals that benefited him at the expense of others. But despite his success, he was never content. His heart was as cold as the gold he hoarded, and no matter how much he acquired, he always believed he needed more. One day, as Idris traveled through the desert, his caravan was struck by a terrible sandstorm. The winds howled like angry spirits, and the sand whipped through the air in violent swirls. As the storm raged on, Idris and his men found themselves lost in the vast, endless sea of dunes. For days they wandered, desperately searching for a way out, but the storm seemed to have no end. On the seventh day of their ordeal, when hope seemed lost, the storm suddenly ceased. The wind fell silent, and the air grew still. Idris, exhausted and disoriented, stumbled upon an ancient, weathered stone that rose from the sand like a forgotten monument. He approached it cautiously, wondering what secrets it might hold. As he touched the stone, a deep rumbling sound echoed from within the earth. The ground trembled and the stone began to shift. Before Idris could react, the stone cracked open, revealing a dark, swirling vortex. From the depths of the earth emerged a figure of terrible majesty, an enormous Djinn, its body cloaked in smoke and fire, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. Idris recoiled in fear, his heart pounding in his chest. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice trembling. "What do you want with me?" "I am the Djinn of the desert," the creature boomed, its voice like the rumble of thunder. "I have been imprisoned in this stone for 1,000 years, and you, merchant, are the one who has freed me." The Djinn's gaze turned cold. "As a reward for your actions, I shall grant you 3 wishes. But know this, the wishes you make will come with a price. Choose wisely, for the consequences of your desires may be greater than you realize." Idris, his mind already racing with possibilities, quickly thought of the wealth and power he could gain. "I wish for endless riches," he exclaimed, his eyes gleaming with greed. The Djinn nodded, and in an instant, Idris was surrounded by mountains of gold, jewels, and treasures beyond imagination. He marveled at the sight, his heart swelling with triumph. "This is what I have always wanted," he thought, overwhelmed by his newfound wealth. But as the days passed, Idris found that the riches brought him no happiness. He could not sleep for fear of losing them, and he could no longer trust anyone, for all those who came into his presence coveted his wealth. His heart grew harder with each passing day, and his soul became consumed by greed. Realizing the emptiness of his first wish, Idris returned to the Djinn and demanded another wish. "I wish for the power to control all those around me," he declared, his voice filled with arrogance. The Djinn granted the wish, and Idris soon found himself with the ability to command anyone he desired. His enemies bowed to him, his allies served him without question. He reveled in the power he now wielded, feeling invincible. But soon, the weight of his power began to crush him. He could no longer trust anyone, for they all feared him. His every action was met with submission, and the joy of ruling over others turned to bitter loneliness. No one cared for him, only for what he could give them or take from them. His heart, once filled with ambition, was now empty and cold. After some time, Idris realized the futility of his second wish. He returned to the Djinn once more, his face haggard and worn. "I have learned my lesson," he said, his voice low. "I wish for freedom from the burden of my wealth and power. Take them all away, and let me live a simple life." The Djinn regarded him for a long moment, its eyes filled with ancient wisdom. "Your final wish is granted," the Djinn said. "But be warned, even with freedom, the road ahead will not be easy. The choices you have made cannot be undone, and the consequences will follow you." In an instant, Idris found himself back at the edge of the desert alone, with nothing but the tattered clothes on his back. His wealth, his power, his riches all were gone. He stood in the desolate land, feeling the weight of his choices press upon him. The Djinn had kept its promise, but the price of those wishes had been greater than he could have ever imagined. With nothing left but the vast, empty desert, Idris was forced to confront the truth of his desires. He had sought wealth and power, but in doing so, he had lost his humanity. Now, with nothing, he began to walk not toward a future of endless wealth, but toward the humility that had once eluded him. Years passed, and Idris became a man known not for his riches, but for his wisdom. He traveled from village to village, telling the story of the Djinn and the price of greed. The people who met him were drawn to his humble nature, and though he had nothing in material wealth, he was richer in wisdom than most could ever dream. And so it was that the merchant who once had it all came to understand that the greatest treasure of all is not gold or power, but the peace found in simplicity and the wisdom earned through experience. And so ends the tale of the merchant and the Djinn. A man sought to possess the world, only to find that it was the world that possessed him. His journey teaches us that the price of desires can be more than we are willing to pay, and true wealth lies in the lessons learned along the way.
When Scheherazade heard the rooster crow, she decided to stop telling stories. Shahryar smiled and realized that Scheherazade would not tell any more. Of course, he had a new date the next night to continue enjoying the stories of his beautiful wife, Scheherazade. King Shahryar sat back, reflecting on the merchant's journey and the lessons of ambition and consequence. The fire flickered softly, as if it too was lost in thought.